This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Am I audible? I can't hear you, Mitch.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is it? All right. Yeah, it was a hectic week for us. Hope you can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. So where were we? Like, we had completed with the components like your T-file input components, your filter components, joins, rejects, right? So do you have any questions from any of the previous sessions?
I do not.
Okay.
Hello,
So,
Mr. Srinivasan. I'm sorry to disturb you. From today, Mr. Bayer Jason is also continuing, I hope. Mr. Bayer, are you able to hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
Mr. Jason?
No, I can hear you. I'm good.
Yes, yes. So previously we did like 2 to 3 sessions actually. I'll send you the session recordings to you. Okay, just go ahead with those session recordings and you can continue from today. Okay. If you have any
Yep.
doubts, Mr. Srinivasan will be going to clarify those things. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, hi
Thank you.
Jason. Hi Jason, hope I'm audible.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. So Jason, so to start with, I believe that you have the Talent Studio installed on your machine, and you have a pretty good idea about uh, how the what do you call, how the IDE is, and so where do you create the jobs and where do you get the components from? So these basic things, are you aware of?
Yeah, I'm aware of
Or
some
do
of the
you have to?
basics. I built a couple
Oh,
things last fall.
okay. So, so coming to Tmap components, so basically this is the component, you can call it as the heart of our Talend ETL tool, because so most of the things, most of the operations, most of the transformations that are being done with this component only. So from the previous class, should I reiterate, Mitch, or should I continue with the I mean, like with the next options?
I would go back just a little bit so Jason can figure out where we are.
All right, okay. So basically, as I have told you, this component, like a component Tmap, you could find it in your palette. You could just search for Tmap here. Excuse me. So you have a processing, it comes under processing. So basically, either you drag and drop it here, or you can just type in Tmap. So this Tmap would allow multiple inputs and multiple outputs. When I say multiple inputs, it would be the only main connection, and all the others would be the lookups. We haven't come there yet, but I'll take you through to those examples. So let us consider we have a file. Let us use the same file, and we have a Tmap, and we have one T file output. So let me deactivate this job for a little while. And coming to here, Jason, like whenever we connect this any component like input component or anything, so it would list us what's there in the input, and it would ask for what you need in your outputs. So let us read this Excel file into this Tmap 3. So the moment you connected the T-file Excel input, it would show you the schema of the input file onto your left hand side. So here we have a segment, country, product, discount band. So these are the elements. So what you basically do is, based on this input information, what are the types of transformations that you would need if you want to enrich this data, or if you want to clean up this data, or if you want to remove certain columns, or if you want to check the values. All sort of those operations can be done here. So the moment you say an output, so this would create an one output port wherein you can drag and drop the required elements that you needed for your target. Say you would only need the segment, you would only need the product, and if you need everything, you can just select all and drag and drop it. So now that we have initially had the segment and the product, it would show as a _1 because it's duplicating. So now you could change your order here. So if you want the country to be listed first, or the load date to be listed first, load date, country, discount band, sale price, country, and the product, and the units sold. You could change your orders like this. So let us see, this is merely a one-to-one mapping. So when you connect it here, it would on the when you right click here and click on row, it would show you all the number of output ports that you have created within that tmap. Stop me if I'm not making any sense, but just let me know. So once it is connected, the data is by defaultly it's synced up. So now you say what's your target is. Say your target is day 6. Let me put it as day 6, and your file name is one-to-one map.dat. So this is the one mapping that you have done, and on here the input is an Excel file. The output, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a delimited file with a comma separator or a pipe separator. That's up to your requirement. And we could say we would like to append the data, or if you want the header to be included, we could say the header also to be included. And similarly, the same output, you could create another output port. Say for instance, you could directly create a row and a new output port. Click here and you can connect to a T file output delimited by default. It would ask you for the output port name is only and need France data. So what happened here? It has already created a port here inside your tmap. So for the France data, what we would do is, let us get everything from there, and we will try to filter out some data. So we can say our country equals France. Drag and drop your country and dot equals France. So basically these Tmaps would help us to write your queries in a GUI file, in a user friendly manner, like just by dragging and dropping. Hello. Okay. It would ask, do you want to propagate the changes? This is because when we have created this connection to this T file output delimited 5, it doesn't have any schema. But now we have created the data, like the columns has been connected to the output. It will ask whether we have to propagate these changes to this file, to the connected file. So our output file here, let us put it at the desktop on a day 6 as france.dat and done. So here also we can have include the header. If you want to convert it as a zip file, you could convert it as a zip file. And under the advanced options, we don't normally do it in our real time, but for our testing, what we do is we disabling this throw and error if the file is already existing. There we go. And now when we run, it has read 700 rows. It processed 700 rows to delimiter for this file because that's a one-to-one mapping. We have changed the order of the columns, and only the filtered data of 140 columns has been sent to this target file. We can now go to our target day 6. We asked it to zip a file, right? It has zipped the file. You can unzip and see what are the contents of that file. Okay, france.dat. Try and open it with an Excel. So the country, you have got everything as France filtered out from that 700 records. And for one-to-one mapping, we have changed the order. We have changed the order, saying like the load date will be first, country would be second, product would be third. So basically in this Tmap, what we have done is we have done a one-to-one mapping. We have done a filter because we already know there is a T filter component. Instead of using a T filter component, we could use it directly in here. And also what we could do is, if we want, we could default any of these values. Like if you want to default all the France to, if I would like to add a currency to this one, let me add a column. Currency, and it's a string. You could say, what currency is it? You could default it to, say, franc. What do you call it? Let us default it to USD only. Okay, apply. When we set apply, it said propagate changes, and we should say yes, and it would apply it here. Let us rerun it and see what would happen. Okay. The same 140 rows are reflected. This is modified. Now this one, the other file we had is for France. The defaulted value has been populated. Now, when you look at this Tmap carefully, we have many options. Like, say now that we have a filter here. This filter can be enabled or disabled at any given point of time. Say if you uncheck this filter, apply and say OK, see what would happen. The filter wouldn't work. See, the 700 rows are reflected to the first flow and another 700 reflected to the second flow. So basically we tend to add the filters on and you just hide it. So this is not basically for hiding it. This column filter, yes, it's definitely for hiding certain columns. So if you want to, if you have uh, if you have too many elements which with a table of 200 or 300 columns, and if you want to filter out one or two columns, you could say it's, you said it's a country, right? COUNT. This is showing you these two filters, but it is not filtering out any of the data. So this enablement and disabling column filter does not play a major role in the file processing. Or hiding these settings or unhiding these settings will not play a role in your processing. But your row filter, whatever row filter you have, with it does play a role when you enable the filter and when you disable the filter. Clear? So, and at the same time we have settings wherein you have the output rejects, the inner join rejects, and the schema type. The schema type for this thing, it can be pulled from the repository. In the sense, if you want to define a schema in the repository and attach to it, let us go file delimited schema, my sales data. So this is your schema. So this would populate the schema from the my sales data. And you won't be able to add or delete any of the columns when you get it from the repository. Any questions so far?
None for me.
Okay. So now let us look at an example of how can we do multiple joins, or let us do it with a single join, and what are the type of joining conditions or the matching models we have in a Tmap. So let us deactivate this, or let us copy paste. Let me copy paste this. So let me hide these two. So we have given a filter now, right? So similarly, let us have some other data. From the previous class, we had an example of discounts. We have a discount data. So France, Mexico, Germany, Canada, USA. This is the discount we will use as a reference. Sorry about that. It's a discount with a pipe, country and discount. And our join. Okay, fine. So let us use our input file as a T file input, the source we have. Let us use another input file, T file input delimited, and we will get the file from our T5 discount data. We have a pipe delimiter. We must say the header is 1, and then we would connect to the, although you say main, it will connect as a lookup only. It is showing you a warning message saying that it does not have a schema that is defined. So we would say country and discount. One is country and the other one is discount. So when we get into the Tmap, here we have like output 1 as the main, output 3 as the lookup. So the way you can do the joins is the country, you can directly drag it and drop it here. It would do a join, or you could directly say like row 1 dot country, and that is case sensitive. Now when you go into the settings here, you have these lookup models. So this would load at once. This would load at each row. This would load at each row and put it in a buffer. So normally when the lookup file is small, we would only load it once. So it's always, we recommend like any lookup file that the right table or the lookup table should be smaller than your input data, because it would the lookup file would load all the transactions or all the records at once, and it might consume too much of memory. And the match model, if you want to match any one match, all rows is like if you have 100 matches, it would return 100 values. If you have like if you have 5 matches, it would return 5 from your left table. Your unique match is if you have one match that is found, yes, it would return, so that would return only one value from the right table. The first match is whenever it hits the first one. Hello, whenever it's the first match, like if you have the rows like if you have match in the first row and a match in the last row, it would pick up the first one. We'll go with the examples. And the all matches is like some fuzzy match. So what we would do is, with the same example, we have a discount band, and that discount band is defined as, in our D6 we will have that file France one-to-one mapping. See, your discount band is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The discount band is none. So what we are trying to do is for these particular countries from the lookup table, we would populate the discount band for this data. So what we could do is we could remove this connection here. All that we can do is drag it and drop it here. So wherever there is a join, it would pick up the value from the right table and populate it for the discount band in your output. So it's a left outer join. You can do a left outer join, and you could do a inner join. So that's basically based upon your requirement. Like, so if you don't want any, like if when you do a left outer join and you don't have a match in the input, it would obviously populate a null value for this discount band. For time being, let us disable this France and write it to an output file. T file output delimited. Why is this not getting deleted? Let us try it. Sometimes these free versions, they do it. But from Monday onwards, I'll just put in a licensed version on this one. If you would like to go with a specific use cases, let me know.
What do you mean by specific use cases?
So if you want to, like, if you want a certain scenarios like the ACD types, which I'm going to cover it in the next classes, or if you're happy with these sort of examples, or if you want any, like, how do I put it? How do I put it? How do I put it? If you want some different examples than this, which would relate uh, in a real world.
I think this is fine. Just covering more of a basic approach to it works for me.
Okay, fine. Let us go with the unique match and apply. Okay. Not enough row type outputs. Okay. Why is this behaving so rudely? Let me delete this. Let me create another output. Drag it and drop it. Skunk man. There's something wrong with the studio here. Okay. It did really generated the file. So it has generated the discount band. Nothing. After the product is the discount band. Nothing was populated. Let us troubleshoot why. There's a 5 rows. We have country and the discount. Matching to the country. Discount matching to the discount. Yes. Let's go back to our data. The 5. Subpipe. Let me give these options. it's job failure because okay, let's go back to it. There we go. So basically it was not identifying the text within that reference file. So what we said is, what we have defined is the reference file is a CSV delimited file where the row separator is a _n or a or an LF, and the text enclosure is a double quotes, which is whatever you have within double quotes, it will be identified as a text. So any questions on these examples, or do you have?
I haven't been following along pretty well. I don't know about you, Jason.
No, I'm fine. I get it. I've done, like I said, I've done some of this before, so I get it.
Oh, is it? Okay. So what we would basically do is, let us do a inner join on this one and see how do we capture the rejected records. What do you mean by the rejected records? I'll show you now. So let us go back to an example of our let us go back to our reference data, which is our discounts.dat. So let me remove 3 countries from there. So when we say left join, and when we say it's an inner join, it would only populate for those countries and the discounts from the left table. So we could see that there is only about 280 rows that are being reflected for those 3 countries. Could check the data. Yes. You wouldn't see United States. You could just search for. You couldn't see for that country. So so basically in our real world, like whenever we load some data, we would look for like incremental load and the full loads we normally do, right? So in such things, like we would create another output port, say rejects, and what we would say is, here we have settings. We could say that, okay, catch these output rejects into another file. When you enable this option, whatever the join condition that is satisfied with the input, those would flow onto this output. Wherever you have a setting saying that, okay, catch the output rejects, wherever you don't have a join or wherever you don't have a match, it would come and flow onto this other table or other file. Just copy paste this and say, when you come to connect, it will ask you for rejects. You could go and change the names now. join, and this reject. This is reject the data dot dat, and this will be our good data, which is a join. So go to execute. There you go. Now you could see like there are 280 rows that have flown to this output, but you could see only 0 rows that have flown to here. Why is that? We have captured the output reject. That was my mistake. That's my bad. We were supposed to capture the inner join rejects. Whatever the joining condition has failed, that has to come here. There we go. We have 700 input records that are coming through, wherein 280 have gone to this flow and 420 have come to another flow. Hello?
Hey, sorry, missed my
Yeah.
mute.
Any questions?
I'm okay.
Okay. And if you would like to see, say, in an instance where in our rejected data, I keep doing this. Okay. In our rejected data, I don't want to, I rejected data, I would only want to filter out for, for Canada.
Hmm.
So what you could do is you could add your filters on top of whatever the rejects that you have done. You could say if the country dot equals Canada, it would capture all the Canada details into this region, this file. So let us say I'll show you an inverse of it. So it has captured only 140 records that are pertaining to this Canada under the rejects. So it's only Canada details we have under this 140. Now coming to this Tmap, these conditions would return a Boolean value. So all that you can do is if you don't want the Canada transactions in this, you could always just add an exclamatory mark at the beginning.
Mhm.
Is that visible?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, let me put it in a notepad. So this would always return opposite of this.
Okay.
So this would only capture all the records which are not equal to Canada.
Hmm.
So this is as good as if we have what are the data we've got, if we have Canada and let us take an example of 3, what we have here. Canada, what else we have? Let us capture them, then it will be easy for us. So apply OK and execute them. Okay, there are 280 that have been processed. So the reject data, let us load it. We have Germany and United States. Let me copy these names and I'll tell what's it equivalent to. United States and your Germany. So if we have only 3 countries, this condition is as good as or is always represented by 2 pipes.
You say or is represented by 2 pipes.
Yeah. Oh, so this would filter out either where the country is equals to United States of America or the country is equal to a Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is not Canada, because we know that the data has only 3 countries, that is why we said not Canada will give us these 2 values, or these 2 values will rule out Canada.
Okay.
Either way it can be done. So let us use another case like this. Let us take these 2 columns as a filter condition. Either you could use this condition here, or there is a button here that's provided. There is an expression editor. When you click it, you could see this expression in this area.
Okay.
Or when you click this button, it would open an expression editor where it will give you all the options, like whatever operations you want to do it, adding an and condition or not. These are basically the whether you call it statements or the operators that you want to use it in your coding.
Mm-hmm.
Say if you want a country America and you want to say the segment segment, so it's case sensitive. Segment equals, say take the government. So this would filter out the data whether you have America or whether you have the segment as government.
Okay.
There we go. We have got about 260. When we go back and see what the rejected data is, we see only the government data in this file and
Mm-hmm.
only for United States. Nothing more than that. Clear? So this component will help us to simplify our complex queries like this.
You see
Any
the query
questions on this?
somewhere?
Sorry?
Can you see the query that it generates somewhere?
Okay, okay. So basically it's not a query. So it would be a Java code at the back end, because as I've told you, this was the Talend tool was designed on Eclipse, and it's a similar IDE as we have like Eclipse. So when you click on code, it would generate its equivalent Java code here. You could actually see the Java classes or the codes for these functions, or your in a MIP for this Tmap.
Okay.
So this will be executed per row at a
Yeah.
time. Yeah. So this is where you can actually see the Java code.
Okay.
So we would go with more examples on this, and we will have a few more components that we will introduce, like T-fix flow inputs. How do we iterate the jobs, and how do we do a parallelize? How do we run a few jobs parallelly at the same time? And after that, after a couple of sessions coming from next week, maybe we can start with the actual DB components.
Yeah, it sounds good.
And any questions? Just feel free to ask me any questions. Like I would prefer it to be a more interactive session than I'm going on a one-way direction.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, mm, right. So we can exactly touch base on what's really is needed within your organization or for your particular role.
Yeah, ours, like I said, is mostly like taking from Salesforce to an Oracle database.
Okay.
But I mean, this has been helpful to at least see like the fundamentals of it, how to work with some of the more simple components.
Okay. Any questions from you, Jason?
No,
Okay, so if we have no questions, then shall we to drop for the day
I think so.
and continue tomorrow? It's only today and tomorrow we will have at this hour. And if you guys prefer to be to having the sessions at this hour, I would be glad to take this at this time instead of starting very early in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, for us, that's just a better time. We usually, like a lot of days, we'll have meetings at around this time in the afternoon. So,
Okay. So you prefer to be at your 9 CST?
yep.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for joining. Then we'll catch up tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Mitch.
Yep. Bye.
Bye bye.